So welcome back to the Bills edition of Sports Bruisers, and it is tough morning. Uh, we all saw on display the 33-30 overtime loss to Denver. Even with all the mishaps, the interceptions, fumbles, miscues, the Bills still had a way to win this and came up short. If you want to look at the end of regulation and overtime, I'm sure no doubt last night and probably for days on end right now is going to be about the Cooks catch, interception, but it counted and not stuff like that, as well as Allen missing knocks late in the game to potentially win the game at the final seconds of regulation to push the Bills into the AFC Championship game. It's brutal. It's another heartbreak, but I was upset. I was devastated, no question, like any other Bills fan, but it wasn't as bad as like 13 seconds or something like that. And then it's like, I hate to say this because I think this is a big issue, is that it's almost like you're used to it. You're almost used to something like this happening, and it is on everybody. I mean, first and foremost, it's on Josh Allen for the blunder right before halftime, the fumble, lateral, whatever he was going to do, pass back, whatever he was even thinking at that moment there, that gave the Broncos 3 extra points. And what did it come down to? It came down to 3 points that won the game for the Broncos. And the Bills should know it because in the wild card, what did it come down to? The Jaguars kicker missing a field goal and the Bills winning by 3. So you basically are on like the flip side of each, on each end, I should say, of winning by 3, losing by 3, and how close these games are, and every mistake matters. It does. And Bo Nix had an interception, but Josh Allen had much more. He had 3 fumbles, he had 2 interceptions, especially the defense getting that rare turnover by the Broncos, the only turnover this game for them. Even though the Broncos did put the ball on the ground a couple times, they were able to recover. What did Josh Allen do soon after? He threw in double coverage and got picked off. And it's stuff like that. Again, even with all those mistakes, they still had an opportunity to win this in the regulation, like I talked about, in overtime. And it's just it's frustrating. I think enough is enough with this whole group, no question. I mean, we've all saw the interview, especially with Allen, how he reacted, Dawkins, and I think at this point there needs to be big changes for this offseason. It should be that. But kind of quick before I get into a rant about the offseason, again, going back to this game, Allen played good, but it was not where it needed to be. Again, you give him credit for finding ways to get the team back in the game, scoring 13 points in the fourth quarter after burying yourself in halftime. But again, it just wasn't enough. The turnovers were too much. Again, it came down to 3 points, which that is on Josh Allen. Cook fumbled as well, but he had 24 carries for 117 yards. So I guess the running attack did do its job. Allen's 12 of 66. Receiving group period, Dalton Kincaid is your leading receiver, 6 for 83 and a touchdown. Shakir, 7 of 75. Ray Davis, 2 of 33. Knox, 3 of 32. Brandon Cooks, 2 of 20, but again, could have been more in that controversial catch, not a catch. That would have been a big moment there, and that would have won the game. I mean, let's put it up, simply there. If he catches that or finds a way to hold on it for another second or more, the Bills kick the field goal, and we're talking about an amazing comeback by Josh Allen and for his legacy and going to the AFC Championship game and being one step closer of getting to the Super Bowl, whether it's between the Texans or the Patriots. It came down to that. And I know a lot of people are frustrated with that, and upset. McDermott is too. It shouldn't have gotten to that point. It shouldn't have gotten to that point. How do you feel about the refs? About if they got the call right or not? It should have not come down to that moment with it. It should have been the turnovers killed the Bills. They shot themselves in the foot. The Broncos had a turnover, and I don't say they were too impressive offensively. It was just the Bills kept making mistakes. And I don't want to put it all on, the Broncos did absolutely nothing. Give credit to the Broncos, especially the defense did a phenomenal job. Late down the stretch, Bo Nix and the offense found a way to win. If you want, again, another controversial 2 pass interference calls on Teron Johnson and Trey White. Give the Broncos credit for that. And they're also dealing with heartbreak too because they win the battle, but they lose the war in the end with losing Bo Nix. And that's going to be more of a bigger what if for them if they lose in the conference championship or if they somehow find a way to get to the Super Bowl and lose if Bo Nix is healthy. So it's really a lose-lose situation. Yes, Denver plays another week. They still have an opportunity to do something, but they lose their guy. So it's not a good day for both sides. But getting back to Brandon Cooks, 2 of 20. Coleman, was not really a factor. He did score a touchdown, so unless he did have some role into one catch for 10 yards and a touchdown. Outside of that, in terms of just the receptions and yardage, nothing too crazy outside of that. McCall Hartman, one catch for 4 yards and a touchdown earlier in the game. Curtis Samuel 1 for 2. Another thing too you should really look at is the defense here. Is with Allen getting sacked 3 times, what did the defense do against Bo Nix? They did absolutely nothing. They had 0 sacks. So in this whole playoff run, they had 1 sack altogether, and that is a big issue. This is a defense, especially the front four, that did not step up at all, outside of who is it? Walker. I mean, I'm kind of losing my name here. Losing the names here. I'm trying to find his name off the fly. DM Walker, I think, was the one that had the interception. So outside of him, you do have a couple pass deflections, but outside of that, what did Epinesa do? Yes, he had a pass deflection, but what did he do to really hurt Bo Nix? And not saying hurt him like physically with the injury, but hurt him in like his ability to throw, make it more difficult, put pressure on him. Nothing. What did Joey Bosa do? Really nothing. You saw the frustration at the end with the personal foul, late hit, which was unacceptable. I mean, that's him not thinking at all, frustrations, him coming to the realization that the game is over, per se. What did Ed Oliver do? Maybe not asking too much of him because he was off for months now, but plays very little and gets hurt once again. So, out his snap right there. And again, it goes on Greg Russo, Epinesa, Ed Oliver, Bosa. I mean, all across the board, besides DM Walker, who made the great play there. It's brutal. And Cole Bishop, too. It's tough. You look at, again, that big play when Savage went in there immediately, a touchdown. I think it was to Mims that scored around there. Or Bryant's, I think one of the two. I think it was Bryant. They had that touchdown. But again, you look at everything all across the board here. It's devastating. And again, even with all the mistakes I said, even with the defensive line doing absolutely nothing, even with the pass coverage shaky at times, even with the turnovers, even with the James Cook fumble, even with after everything with that, again, they still had an opportunity to win this game. They did. And that's just a frustrating part too. Is you look at this, and as the years go on, Josh Allen will be 30 years old next year. When is it going to happen? And Josh Allen has a lot of blame on this because of his turnovers. And it's to a point now, I don't want to talk about the media where he's a choke artist, this ruins his legacy, all this stuff. But I am to a point now where I can't just tell people, it's like, there's no question Josh Allen can win a Super Bowl for us. There's no question. I have to. In these moments, Allen, it's unfair. Maybe the circumstance, it's in certain instances here and there. But when I look at the final play regulation, you have to make that throw. If you are that guy, if you're that reigning MVP, or if that's that quarterback that we all know, that is a big moment. You have to step in and make that play. You have to. Because I guarantee you probably Mahomes makes that throw. If you look at older quarterback, Tom Brady makes that throw. Other quarterbacks make that throw. And if you want to be, if we consider him on the, on par at least with Mahomes, at the very least, he should make that throw. If you really want to just shut everyone up in the media and haters and naysayers about you make that throw, you shut everyone up for another week, and you're like, wow, that was impressive. That was impressive drive by Josh Allen. 55 seconds left. Did have timeouts, of course, but driving the team down the field and getting the touchdown with seconds left on the clock. That's the guy that we know. That's what we look for in Josh Allen, and unfortunately he missed that. And again, I know a lot of people are going to talk about the Cook controversial catch or not, and that would have been huge. Again, if he catches that, they kick the field goal. We're in the AFC Championship game, and you look at that even too. If he catches that, we talk about Josh Allen too. Finally getting the monkey off his back with the playoff losses, 0-3 in the postseason, 7 overall, 0-7 overall in his career with regular season and postseason. But at some point in time, I need him to step up. And this is the opportunity where he made dumb mistakes, and he took accountability. But at the end of the day, you can only say it so much before it's like you have to show on the field. Yes, we know it's your fault. What are you going to do about it? And this is kind of a big crossroad the Bills are at right now, because I don't want to jump in the media saying like this was a cakewalk, this is such an easy path to Super Bowl with no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow. I don't want to get to that because there's more to it than just those quarterbacks. Yes, those are the faces of the teams, but there's more to it, of course. We know that. But it certainly is frustrating when you look at the Chiefs not being there, the Ravens not being there, the Bengals not being there. Not just looking at the quarterbacks, look at the team, the whole entire teams of them. It is devastating because you felt like that something clicked in the Jacksonville game. Like it was a gritty game, but they found ways to win in moments that in other years that they would have faltered. And there was huge praise for Josh Allen, how tough he played, the clutch throws he made, how the defense played well. And I think even with the defense giving up 33 points, I think they did enough. I truly do. Maybe I'm in an unpopular party here saying that, unpopular camp. I just feel like they did enough to win this game, and it was on full display. Once again, Allen, you go down and you score a touchdown at the end of knocks, or you find a way in overtime to find a way to win. The defense did enough regardless, and also the play calling in overtime was horrible, with Joe Brady just basically throwing the first down plays away, with just running up the middle when Cook, as the game went on, got stifled. You're basically, every time you get a first down, just take a down away and automatically be a second down, because that's what it felt like. You were in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, and it's like, yes, Josh didn't make the first 2 third downs, but you're really playing a dangerous game doing that. You are. And unfortunately, again, it got to that play. I was excited. I thought Cook caught the ball. I thought that was game sealed, done. Of course, Prater has to go out there and make the kick, but you feel like it's a done deal at that point. It's interception, and then we know the rest of that too with it. And again, it's frustrating. There's a ton of blame to go around, with certainly Josh Allen at the forefront of it. Joe Brady at times the play calling, the defensive line not getting home and not really doing too much to really stifle Bo Nix and give him problems really outside the interception. It was, again, it's a very frustrating recurring scenario with this team for years now, where it almost does feel like, to a point where I don't want to say never, but in initial reaction, it does feel like, and even to a little bit to a point this morning of, is it ever going to happen? Is this team ever going to happen? Is this team ever going to get over the hump? Is Josh Allen truly capable of winning the Super Bowl? There's a lot of questions that go, through my head, but I think what we can all agree on this offseason, and I'll make a video, of course, going in depth what need, the free agents and so forth, contracts and so forth for the offseason. Make a video about that, more ranting about it, but there's no question for all of us, something major has to change. Something major has to change this offseason, and certainly Brandon Beane's on full display there, because when he kind of called people out and said that people, he can't believe people are bitching about the wide receiver. Well, it showed that in full display as the year went on, not even counting injuries, but just looking at the quality of players. What did Josh Palmer do when he was out there? Nothing. What did Curtis Samuel do when he was out there? Nothing. What did Keon Coleman do outside of week 1? When we thought that was like he's finally arrived in the NFL. He's done nothing. And you go down the list, you have McCole Hartman, you have Brandon Cooks, Gabe Davis you had to bring back, Shavers. It just, you look at this and it's so, again, Josh Allen, even with all this, still had the opportunity. So I'm not putting it all on the wide receivers, because he had the opportunity in this game. But I'm saying as a whole, this is just pathetic, the wide receiving core. It is. We've been, certainly tired of hearing about it. We've heard it for weeks and months on, even going back to the offseason. We've heard it for months and months now about that side of the ball too. But it's not just that. It's the bad contracts he's given now. It's the questionable players he's brought in. When you look at certainly just like the contracts, Russo is not worth the money. I'm sorry, he's not. This is another year yet again where he goes a season without double-digit sacks, the bare minimum, with his skill talent, and does nothing in the playoffs. You look at Bernard, didn't really do anything this year, and has been injured for quite a while now this season. You look at Poyer, again, fortunately, he played well stepping into the position he was in, but got hurt at the end of the season. Wasn't a factor, got hurt a little bit into the playoffs against Jacksonville. Sucks that he wasn't in there too. That would have been, certainly you would think that with Poyer being back there, that negates at least a touchdown, especially that Darnell Savage play right there. You have that. You have Harrison out. It just, again, it's frustrations. You have Landon Jackson, who was a waste of a pick there. T.J. Sanders kind of got a little bit better as the year went on, but again, too, very questionable with that pick too. Joey Bosa, yes, he did have the 5 forced fumbles, but he only had 5 sacks. And again, you look at the defense line, still an issue yet again. Wide receiving core and the questionable players they brought in at that skill position and draft to Keon Coleman. It's frustrating. And on top of it, too, you look at the trade deadline with Jalen Waddle. Would Jalen Waddle fix some things here in this? Not saying that if Waddle was in the lineup, that Josh Allen would have 0 turnovers. He wouldn't have fumbled 3 times, wouldn't have thrown 2 picks. But certainly it would help. It would help at this point. And now you look back and go like, oh, this is why you would make the pick. This is why you make the trade, I should say, for Jalen Waddle, because it would have helped a little bit better. And maybe that would have been the deciding factor. Again, it's all in Josh Allen for the turnovers, but maybe having someone like that at that moment, maybe like if you switch Cooks out for Jalen Waddle at that point, if he runs that route, you feel maybe a lot more comfortable with Waddle in that position. or other instances as well. But again, something major has to change, and but you've seen probably certainly on social media, especially on Twitter, fire Bean, which I tweeted out, fire McDermott, this and that. The offensive line coach retired, so it's another void we have to fill. Joe Brady's probably be gone with all the head coaching searches. He probably is going to be gone this offseason. So there is a lot of changes. I think they're not just getting an OC and stuff like that. There has to be a major shakeup with this team, with the front office. If you don't look at that again for Brandon Beane, if you look at the players or coaches, it's just I think more so players. You have to have an uncomfortable conversation with some players. Like I would say, like at Oliver, I know you just gave him the contract, but personally for me, Greg Russo, you have a big question, a big decision to make about Bosa if you want to bring him back. Seeing that he was on a 1-year deal with that. Wide receiving core is a mess. Linebacker core right now is a big question mark. I mean, even though that Milano was healthy healthy at the end and played a little better, you still question that. An injury-prone linebacker on top of Bernard too, another questionable contract. An injury-prone linebacker, undersized. So there is some safety. Who's going to be the running mate with Cole Bishop? Corner, I mean, you feel comfortable with Benford and Harrison, but who's going to be in there as well? Teron Johnson. Again, there's a lot of contract things you have to really work on and try and play with, and got to have uncomfortable conversations. But I think there has to be a major shakeup because we cannot go in 2026 repeating the same thing again, where we're off to a great start. We feel like we can get a number 1 seed, all these things, all these aspirations, and then we falter. We make these stupid losses. We get these stupid losses. We play horrible. The other team wants it more, and then we lose ourselves halfway through the year. We pick ourselves back up. We get our hopes up, and then the playoffs, we have a game like this. Something needs to change drastically for that. And whether Josh Allen needs to put more time in and needs to work more on things, whether it's a mental aspect or whatever it is for him and for everyone else, I think the standard for everyone has to be raised. And it's not that McDermott is a horrible coach, but you look at the Ravens, where they got rid of Harbaugh. And I think you look at the similar suit, I think it is time that maybe we have the same conversation where we feel like we hit our ceiling. Like it is what it is. We made a couple conference championships in the span since Josh Allen became the Allen that we know in 2020. But at some point in time, we need more. We need more, and we can't have people that hold on to the past. Like, remember the drought? Remember what was before the drought? Remember the 17 years? It's like, you can't. That's a loser mentality. I hate to bring it to people. That's a loser mentality. And then Steve Tasker brings up, I'm sorry, it's a loser mentality. If you're always going to be shell-shocked about the past and you're going to be held by that, you're never going to win. I'm sorry. If you're so traumatic about the past of what happened from essentially, 17 years, basically, I should say, really, 2000 to 2017. If you're really going to be that stressed out about it and you're going to hold every decision to that, you're never going to win anything. I'm sorry. It's the truth. You're never going to win if you don't take chances and you don't make major changes that need to be made and you hold on to that. It's a horrible mindset. Do I expect Brandon Beane and McDermott to be fired? No, I don't expect that at all. I think more so Beane, if I had to pick 1 and 2, should be gone. I don't expect any of them to be gone because it's business as usual. But at some point in time, if you're a sane person, I don't know how you look at this and go, you know what? It hasn't worked for all these years. It's going to happen again. And you're just hoping that everything lines up perfectly. It's not the case there. If you want to look at the quarterbacks, you have Sam Darnold going to the conference championship. Now it's more than just him, but you're looking at, again, the face value everyone looks at. Sam Darnold has a good opportunity to make the Super Bowl before Josh Allen. Now, people are going to break down teams and so forth, but you look at the caliber of players, that's it's a big concern. And that's not just Josh Allen, it's Lamar as well, add into that mix with that draft class. But it's stuff like that. You have Drake May in a second year that could make the Super Bowl. You have C.A. Stroud that could make the Super Bowl. And you look at that, and it's frustrating because it's like you have that guy. You have that guy that can, sorry, I don't know if it's shaking the camera there, but you have that guy that is better than all those quarterbacks, but can't get there. And then people look at that and go, wait a minute, why are these guys making Josh Allen can't? Obviously, it's Josh Allen's fault. And in this game, it was. Other instances in previous playoff performances, it's not. But something major has to change. And again, we can't hold on to. Remember the drought. Remember what was before McDermott. Yes, you could be two things being true. You can be thankful for what Beane and McDermott did to get us out of the drought. But the standard has changed. That's maybe the problem. People is like when you get better, the standard gets raised, especially when you play sports. Where if you make it to this point, then it's this next stop. And you make it this stop, it's the next one. So at that point, playoffs was just enough. You didn't care if you won or lost. Making the playoffs is good. Okay, made the playoffs. Let's win a couple games. All right, we won a couple games. Now it's up to the Super Bowl. That's a problem. Is I think they got to a point where they raised the standard to a point where they themselves cannot reach. And again, I think something needs to change. Is that something major has to change? Whether it's Brandon Beane, McDermott, a big shakeup on the roster. Something needs to happen for this to really, for all of us to try and buy in again and feel like, okay, this is different. Because at this point in time, it's just, if it goes the way it is, and it's the same as usual, same faces basically, same this and that, same business, and all that. For Beane and McDermott, expect the same outcome. Great start, going to stifle somewhere down the line, or halfway through the season, lose the first seed, battle the way back, and have the same conversation again. So again, very frustrating, and I think this really just encapsulate, just really sums up, not just for this year, but previous playoff appearances. Maybe you want to take all the way back to 2021, 13 seconds. It's been like that. And again, it just you felt like even with how bad this defense, this team was entirely, how depleted the wide receiving core was, the defensive side and stuff like that, they still had an opportunity. Still felt like at the very least they have a chance to make the Super Bowl. At the very least, I don't know if they could win it, but they could get there. And then it's just enough is enough from all of us. We feel like enough is enough. Something has to change. And again, I hope in the next coming days, weeks, month or so that we do get those changes. But again, we'll see what Pagula and this regime decide to do. The only thing we can do now is enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Pick your team to root for moving forward. Seahawks got smacked the 49ers last night. I didn't even really watch any of that, not because it wasn't competitive. I was just disappointed. I was do a lot of things too, making a video. You saw my if you haven't seen yet, Bo Nick's video as well about his status last night. But again, we'll see what happens. Again, next coming days, weeks, month or so, we'll see what happens. And hopefully there is big changes and serious changes made for the Bills here. Because again, you cannot go into 2026 with doing the bare minimum or doing very little like they've done the last few years. You have to do something very different. You have to do something bold and show people that you are serious and you're fed up and you are committed to doing whatever it takes to bring this team to the Super Bowl and win it. So again, we'll leave it with that. And next video, again, we'll be making the next coming videos, at least for the Bills edition, about offseason and stuff like that, contracts, free agents, trades, the draft, and so forth. So with all that being said, appreciate you guys watching it, and we'll see you then.